Welcome back. While Democrats are attempting tonight to win the governor's mansions in 2 states carried by President Trump, there's just one candidate in the Democratic presidential primary field who's actually done that before, and he's not among the frontrunners right now. Joining me now is Montana Democratic Governor, presidential candidate Steve Bullock. Governor Bullock, welcome back to the show.
Chuck, it's great to be with you tonight.
All right, it's an election day, 2 red states, Kentucky and Mississippi. Louisiana will be in a couple weeks. Virginia, obviously, a blue state. But it is, and I'm sure you're probably trying to figure this out. There's no demand for any Democrats to help Democrats in those 2 states. And if anything, you have Jim Hood down in Mississippi who won't even confirm that Barack Obama did a robocall for him today. I'm not quite sure what's going on in my campaign all the time. I mean, is it this bad to be a Democrat in Montana?
It hasn't been that bad to be a Democrat in Montana when I can win re-election when Trump wins by 20. But I think this is part of the point.
You think you could do it again?
Yes, I do.
Actually, things have changed.
Actually, there was a Montana poll that had me beating Trump in Montana by 4 points.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the challenges we have as a party right now. If there's a lot of states that are saying, we don't even want the connection with the national party, well, then we've got to have a national party that can connect with people in red and purple states as much as we can the blue states.
But what does that mean? The party on one hand, I mean, do you need to sell progressive politics better in red states, or does the party have to moderate itself? Is it moving too far, too quickly on cultural issues? I mean, isn't part of the problem is you can't really equivocate these days. There isn't a lot of room for it because, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever side you're on, all politics is national. You can't have a Montana message, a Kentucky message, and a Florida message anymore.
Yeah, but you can actually have a message that bridges some of these divides along the way, that recognizes that 2/3 of the people in this country don't have a college degree, and we have to be helping them. Recognizing that everybody ought to have affordable, accessible health care, but that doesn't mean taking away health care from 156 million people. I mean, we are now 90 days out from the Iowa caucuses. And I think folks are now really starting to focus on who can actually win the places that we need to win. Because if we run up the votes by another 2 million in California, it's not going to make a difference.
Let me ask you about your candidacy. At what point do you sit here, as much as you can't get on the debate stage and this stuff, at what point does this become futile to you?
I think Iowa. You know, look, Iowa.
You want to get through Iowa. You think you want to see this.
Iowa's always been the great sorting hat, right? That takes this big field, narrows it down. And I think that'll be the same case this time. You know, that I think most folks, some watch the debates. That's not what's going to define it. And I guess I'm not telling a deep secret because other campaigns are now starting to invest more into Iowa as well.
Well, it does seem as if you suddenly, the type of message you're preaching is a message Pete Buttigieg is now preaching, is a message Joe Biden, from a different perspective, is preaching too. How do you make room for yourself?
Well, I think that, it's the only one that actually won in a Trump state that's been able to bridge divides and get meaningful progressive things done. As we get into this, and we'll just go up on television starting tomorrow in Iowa, I think as people actually start looking at what the one real question is this election, I mean, I hear from more single-issue voters than any other time. It's beating Donald Trump. Right. And we actually have to be able to win back places that we lost if we're going to be able to do it.
Has Medicare for All somehow become a litmus test for different people? Meaning they see it as sort of like it's either a litmus test to be a progressive Democrat or a litmus test to say, that's a bridge too far?
I think it is a litmus test for some people, for sure. But I don't think it's one that can win back places like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I mean, I think if you even look at, Senator Warren's talking about spending $2.6 trillion a year in new spending. Our overall federal spend is $4 million, even though we only raised $3 million. At some point, when you're taking away health care from people and what you're going to do.
You'd say, why are you using a Republican talking point?
And
look, that's how she's trying to shame people like yourself, Pete, others that are hitting her on this.
Yeah, and actually being able to deal with the here and now of people's lives. Obamacare was not a Republican talking point. It was actually the greatest expansion of health care that we had had since Medicare. So any time that somebody turns around and says, I actually have to live in a world where I have to get things done. I think this town's kind of become a place where speeches are the substitute for actually doing things. And from the perspective of how do we actually impact people's lives without turning off a whole lot of folks, I don't think those are Republican talking points. Those are what's grounded in reality of this country, and this country expects us to actually bridge divides and get things done.
I am running up against the clock, so I'm going to have to leave it there. Governor Steve Bullock, Democrat from Montana, a red state. How bad of a hit tonight if the party can't win one of these two gubernatorial races?
Well, I think it'll just show that we need somebody at the top of the ticket that can help in places like that.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.